It is now 8 p.m. on December 3rd, 2024, and I'm calling to order the City of Brookings Planning Commission. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will conduct this meeting in a regular format and will allow commissioners, applicants, and interested parties an opportunity to speak. This meeting is being broadcast live on PEG channel 181 and can be streamed on the city's YouTube channel. We will now conduct the roll call of planning commissioners.
Commissioner Peters?
Present.
Commissioner Chapman?
Present.
Chair Watwood?
Here.
Commissioner Wolfowitz?
Here.
Commissioner Bruce?
Here.
Commissioner Bond?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Planning Commission Chairperson announcements. I don't have any announcements this evening. Item 4, we are about to begin the public hearing portion of the agenda. The following information applies to all of the applications being heard today. The public hearing will be conducted in the following manner. First, the planning staff will present their report. The applicant will then make his or her presentation. Next, anyone wishing to speak in support of the proposal will be afforded an opportunity, followed by anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the proposal. Finally, any interested parties or representatives of public agencies will be asked to testify. All speakers must state their names and mailing addresses. Any person who wishes to speak may be asked questions by the commissioners. The applicant will be offered the opportunity to rebut evidence. Planning staff will then be given the opportunity to make any final comments at the end of the public testimony portion of this hearing. Testimony and evidence must be given under the following guidelines. All testimony and evidence must be directed toward the criteria outlined in the staff report, comprehensive plan, or land use regulation which applies to the decision. Except for the applicant, testimony shall be limited to 5 minutes unless otherwise stated by the chair. Any exhibits presented will be marked as part of the record and will be kept by the planning staff until appeal opportunities expire. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the commission and the parties an opportunity to respond precludes appeal to Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals, LUBA, based on that issue. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow this commission to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Prior to the conclusion of evidentiary hearing, any participant may request additional time and the opportunity to present additional evidence or testimony regarding the proposal. This is limited to those who have spoken on the request. Repetitious testimony is not necessary and is discouraged. We have 3 items for consideration tonight. CUP-10-24, a conditional use permit for a short-term rental at 955 Hassett Street. MC-5-24, CUP-3-21, a minor change of a conditional use permit for a new owner at 1214 Moore Street, and MC-6-24, CUP-7-22, a minor change of conditional use permit for a new owner at 1244 Moore Street. These are quasi-judicial hearing, and the Planning Commission will make a decision on each of these matters. By a show of hands, does any commissioner have any ex parte contact to declare in any of these for any of these applications? I see no hands raised. By a show of hands, does any commissioner have any personal bias or personal interest that would preclude their participation in hearing any of these applications? I see no hands raised. By a show of hands, does any commissioner have any potential or actual conflict of interest to declare for any of these applications? I see no hands raised. Does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission to hear these matters? Seeing no hands raised in objection, we will now proceed with the presentation of these applications. We will now proceed with the following applications. Agenda item 4.1-CUP-10-24. The time is now 7:05 PM and the public hearing to consider the following application is open. In the matter of file number CUP-10-24, a request for approval of a conditional permit to operate a short-term rental facility at 955 Hassett Street. The applicant and owner is Rachel Gates. The criteria used to decide this matter are found in section 17.124.170, short-term rentals, chapter 17.136, conditional uses, and section 17.20.040Q, single-family residential R16. We will now proceed with the staff report.
Thank you, Chair Watwood. Members of the commission, as noted in your opening, this is a request for a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental in a single-family dwelling located at 955 Hassett Street. The subject property is surrounded by R1 single-family residential. The subject property is regular in shape, 0.20 acre in size, and located on the south side of Hassett Street, which has a paved surface with public improvements in the right-of-way. The property is developed with a single-family, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,917 square foot dwelling, 2-car garage, and a paved driveway large enough to accommodate the minimum required 2 cars. The double-car garage will not be available for guest use. Utilities are provided, and the applicant has advised a local representative residing within the Brookings urban growth boundary will be responsible for the property and available to have repairs made, resolve disputes, and/or terminate occupancy if necessary. Any questions?
I don't think so. Is the applicant or representative present?
Trish Sparling, representing Premier Ocean.
We want to approach the podium. State your name and mailing address, please.
Trish Sparling. I'm representing Premier Ocean Properties, and
Mailing address.
mailing address is Premier Ocean Properties. Mailing address is 937 Chetco Avenue, Suite 8.
Thank you.
I believe all the information is in the staff report.
And so did you have anything else you'd like to say on behalf? Okay.
No, I think.
Okay. Any questions for her? Thank you. Anyone in support? Anyone opposed? I see Julie Payne. Would you like to approach the podium? State your name and your mailing address, please. Sorry.
I'm Julie Payne. My P.O. Box is P.O. Box 1478. I live at 880 Highland, which is directly behind this property. This is a very quiet neighborhood. I mean, you hear a dog in the distance, that's noise. It's all single-family houses. There's really inadequate parking there because across the street on Hassett, several of the houses have gates, so you could not park there. There's one parking space on the street. When you go further down Hassett toward, I guess, Midland, there's a P.O. box there, so you cannot park there. So there would be at the most 3 parking spaces without intruding on other people. Also, if you park further down on Hassett, you will block Highland's view to get back onto Hassett. And I did check a friend who is a realtor in another town, and they did say that that can diminish your property value if you have a vacation rental in your area. That house is built on fill, 4.5 to 5 feet of fill. I know this because my family owned the S Corporation that contractor built that. He came in and put 4.5 to 5 foot of fill on top of that piece of property. So it is 4.5 feet higher than the piece of property where I reside and all of the ones along on Highland. So the windows on that side of the house, I mean, they look right into my house. And in addition to that, there's a huge deck on the back of the house. I think it's 235 square feet. When they go out, when the neighbors that lived there before went out, I literally could tell you the name of the condiments that they were putting on their burgers and their hot dogs. The noise travels so quickly into my house. In addition, there is a fire pit in the backyard, which on one occasion when they lit it up, we were out in the backyard beating embers out. There's a huge cedar tree there. And the neighbor down the street, in very articulate language, yelled at them to put the fire out. I would not have used that language. So my concern is not only is it really in a very quiet neighborhood, it's peering into my backyard. The neighbor that sits down at the end is very elderly, and I talked to her daughter, and she has the same issue. They're peering into her yard, but she could not come here. And I did take a picture that shows where the fire pit is in relationship to the tree, my yard, and their house. And on more than one occasion, we've had to beat the embers out. Last time I thought, time to call the fire department. I think also, I know it sounds crazy, but I used to be on the board of the softball league, and I know that the Little League fields are used for softball players during tournaments. And that house is perfect for a softball team to come and stay in. And having been a softball player and been on out-of-town tournaments, I kind of know how things go. So I really don't want a lot of noisy people sitting behind me and they can peer into my house. Plus, literally, any sound they make in the backyard is now in my backyard. And I am not joking about that. If they would have said the brand of the condiments they were using on their burgers, I could have told you that. And my concern is, and I really doubt that anything I say probably will have anything to do with it, but if it is okayed, I personally would ask that the fire pit be removed, be required to be removed, because the next time may not be so lucky, because there's a huge cedar tree in that backyard, and if it got 4 or 5 houses will go. It's that close to it. But I just really oppose it because it's big enough for a large group to stay in. When you've got 1,900 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, I'm an insurance agent. I know how many people they pile in those houses. So I know that you could probably put a large number of people in there. And while I'm a friendly person, I don't want to hear all about everything that's going on during the day and night in my living room and backyard. And we can't use our backyard when they're out there because it's so noisy. But I do have a picture of where the fire pit is. I'm sure you already know that, but.
I don't think so, but maybe just hand it to Lori or Tony.
There, you can see how close it is. Well,
Is this your back?
right over there. This is me. He actually
Built the fence, took the fence down, which is on a wall, a retaining wall, because the dirt was piled there, obviously 4.5 feet above the normal ground, so they had to build a wall to retain the dirt. And so he did move the fence in. I have no idea why, other than to get it away from the retaining wall that is failing. But so it is very close, not only to the new property line that he's established, but I mean, the embers really do go. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Tony, is there any ordinance again, or is there anything written about fire pits and vacation rentals or anything like that?
But my question is, would the fire chief be able to go out there and take a look and see if it's a dangerous situation?
Well, we do have inspections for all vacation rentals, so, I mean, the fire marshal isn't.
Excuse me, it's not really a fire pit, so what he did was put cinder blocks And I don't even think he dug a hole. They just started a fire.
Maybe fire ring? A fire
Yeah, it's
ring.
firing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sort of kind of a fire ring.
Do you have anything else you want to submit, Julie? Is that just this photo? Just the photo is all
Yeah,
you
I
have to
just have
submit?
photos.
Okay.
This shows, well, obviously this is our house right here, so you can see
Sure. Okay.
it's right there.
Okay. So I'll enter in these exhibits for the record.
Okay, thank you.
So
Was,
can we make that a condition that the fire chief make an inspection to make sure it's not a fire hazard?
I would like to give property management company an opportunity to respond if they so desire.
So then we should then continue this.
yeah,
Just remember that the property will be inspected prior to use by the building official and the fire marshal. So, I mean, we could make them aware of the concern and let them address that.
anybody else in opposition? I see, would you like to approach the podium? And I think you filled that out. Yeah, Michelle will take that from you.
I live right next to Julie, and so my backyard, I also can see into pretty much just about the backyard she's talking about. So we are also at risk for fire pit
Oh,
problems.
can you state your name and your mailing address?
Yes, my name is Mrs. North, and my mailing address is P.O. Box 4699 in Brookings.
Mrs. North,
Mrs. North,
do you have a first name?
Pamela.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about this type of housing, so I did a little bit of just amateur research. And the first thing I asked was, what does short-term housing do to crime in neighborhoods? And amazingly, what pops up is they go hand in hand. That there will be more property crime, as in burglary, theft, vandalism, and of course there are calls to 911 for bad behavior. So all of this goes up in an area the minute you put in transient housing. The other thing I found that I didn't know was something that is now nicknamed zombie houses. And what that means is houses like this, there's a season for them. And so they're not fully occupied all the time. And so you end up with empty houses with valuables in them because they have appliances, they have this, they have that, and they attract more burglary, vandalism, and problems. The other thing they do, of course, as you know, is they take inventory off of the available housing for people who really want to live here, who want to work here, live here, raise their children here. When, let's say, I go to sell our house at some point in time, it's not as attractive as it used to be. People don't want to raise children in a neighborhood where there's transients in and out all the time. They don't know who the people are. People don't want to retire in a neighborhood that isn't quiet anymore, because when you're on vacation, you party, and that's normal, that's natural. But this is not the neighborhood for that. On Sundays, you could hear a pin drop, because it's a family day. For many people, it's a church day. So this is not a good match for this area at all. The other thing I was wanting to say is that if the long-term idea is to bring in neighbors and keep steady neighbors and quiet neighborhoods and have people actually live here, then when you fill or you start to open up the door to this type of housing, it'll disappear. And I can see that there are now cities that have putting out regrets that they allowed so much of this housing into their areas, because once it's sold like this into a commercial property, more or less, a business, it doesn't come back into private housing, resident housing, people that actually live there. So I would suggest that maybe before you approve more of these, that you take a look at that aspect. There's also some books being written now about the downside of this type of housing, especially in an established neighborhood. And I want to thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else opposed? Tony, do you have any, like, data about, I mean, have you updated, like, the data on the police calls and what's going on with vacation rentals in our area?
No, there's nothing that jumps out. Just the data is very similar to what we've represented here multiple times in
Yeah.
previous meetings.
Yeah, I mean,
No calls, no concerns. The ones that we get are, I think there's less than 5 total in all the vacation rentals that we have.
right, over the past 5 years.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
What was our percentage we're at right now?
Yeah, the percentage of the short-term, remember you brought that up one time, there was a percentage of short-term rentals in our,
Oh, we're below, well below any other, I think it was, yeah, we're less than 5 for sure, way
Yeah,
less
I
than
remember-
5.
I
I think
remember
5% was
four.
a number that a lot of communities put out there as what they would tolerate as vacation rentals compared to homes for long-term rentals.
And do the homeowners know that live around them that if there's noise complaints and
Yep.
everything that's going on and they report this is how they kind of resolve the problem?
Exactly, yeah.
Is you guys have to be proactive if there's problems going on. You know, you can't just brush it to the side. So I think that's the major key to this whole thing, to having good renters opposed to, you know, voices could be.
Plus, there's a revocation of a conditional use permit if they become a problem.
Yeah. They will lose it.
And we haven't, like I say, we haven't had any issues brought to our attention. And obviously, the way it starts is a call into, obviously, something happens at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. We're not in our offices. We're not going to take a call. So call the police, report it. Then that issue is then sent to me via email or Lori. We get it the next day. And I'm just telling you, we haven't had anything like that happen. Not yet. But so far, at the amount of vacation rentals that we have right now, they've been very quiet.
Any interested parties? Did you have any applicant rebuttal? Do you have anything you want to say about any of the neighbors' concerns or anything at all?
Yes, and I do, as a representative of the property management company, I understand your concerns completely. And as Tony said, if there are any problems, you should definitely report it. And because as a property management company, we taking care of the homes that we manage in the neighborhood seriously. So, we try, people who rent, they are vetted, but if problems occur, we definitely need to know about it, and that, the way we're going to know about it is if you report it.
Is there a maximum amount of occupants that you allow, say at that home?
I believe it's 6 at
Okay.
that
Okay.
home. And that's pretty par for the course in a 3-bedroom home. is
Right. And how-
6.
how
So
do you-
if you're aware of more than 6 people,
That's a lot of people, 6 people.
and it's based on the size of the home, the number of beds, and in a 3-bedroom house, you're usually going to have beds for 6 people. So that's kind of typical.
Okay. Thank you.
We definitely could consider a condition of approval on the fire pit. I mean, if that's something you want to throw in there. To, open fire pit probably would not be desired by our fire department for sure.
So, and what's the parking, don't you have to have a minimum of 4 spaces on site?
2.
2 spaces on site?
2 spaces.
Okay.
And it's perfectly legal to park out in the right of way. It's just like any other neighborhood.
Right.
There's no restriction on parking on the street on Hassett anyway.
How many cars are they allowed on the street, Tony? Is there?
Well, I mean,
Just, I guess they can have.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, you can't be blocking driveways, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, if there's a legal spot on the street to park, they can park there. Our short-term rental requirements, we've established that 2 parking spaces for a 3-bedroom, and then it jumps up for every bedroom after that 3. I think it jumps 1 parking space on site per bedroom after 3.
And this one looks like it's providing 3 spaces. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I say that's probably a stretch.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I didn't even bother.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I don't think that's an accurate representation of what they actually have.
Yep.
But I could see 2 cars in the driveway and 1 out on the street if they had 3 couples there.
Just like a park right in the house. So.
I think that's what they mean by six people or a family with 4 kids or.
So should we just make it a condition of approval, or should we continue this?
You can make it as a condition, given the tree back. I mean, I think the evidence.
Can we see that photo?
Yep. Here, I'll give them to you. You can pass them. I think the concern of the tree is definitely with an open fire pit. That's so either the tree goes or I don't even know whose it is. Yeah.
I can comment on that normally we don't allow fire pits, so I made a note of that, and I'll address it with Ron.
It's not a tremendous effort to remove that fire pit.
No.
It's just a ramp built out of concrete blocks. Did you have any more additional comments, Tony?
Yeah. No, none.
Okay. Does any participant request additional time to present evidence? In any land use decision, the burden of producing substantial evidence to demonstrate compliance with the applicable criteria is upon the applicant. If the adequate evidence is not provided, the application must be denied. An applicant may be granted up to 7 additional days to submit written argument. Does the applicant request additional time to submit written argument? If not, are you willing to waive written argument and have a decision made this evening?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. It is now 7:28 PM and public testimony is closed on Planning Commission file number CUP-10-24. We will now proceed to Planning Commission discussion and make a decision on the matter. From this point forward, no member of the audience will be allowed to address the commission. Anybody have anything?
Just removing the fire pit.
Except for the fire pit, yeah.
Just put that in the additional conditions for the motion there, so.
Yeah, so do I hear a motion?
I move the planning commission approve file number CUP 10-24, a request for conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental at 955 Hassett Street, based on findings and conclusions stated in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval with the addition of an inspection by the city and the fire chief that the fire pit does not present a hazard. Is that adequate?
Yeah.
Second.
Chair Whatwood,
Aye.
Commissioner Chapman,
Aye.
Commissioner Bruce,
Aye.
Commissioner Wolfowitz,
Aye.
Commissioner Bond,
Aye.
Commissioner Peters,
Aye.
motion carries.
I move that the planning commission approve the final order regarding file CUP-10-25 10-24 based on the findings and conclusions stated in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval.
Second.
Commissioner Wolkowitz.
Aye.
Commissioner Bruce.
Aye.
Commissioner Chapman.
Aye.
Commissioner Peters.
Aye.
Chair Whatwood.
Aye.
Commissioner Bond.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Agenda item 4.2-MC-5-24, CUP 3-3-21. It is now 7:30 PM and the public hearing to consider the following application is open. In the matter of file number MC-5-24, CUP-3-21, a request for approval of a minor change of conditional use permit of 1214 Moore Street, changing permit into the new property owner's name. The owner and applicant is Cynthia Anderson, trustee of the Anderson Living Trust. The criteria used to decide this matter is found in section 17.124.170, short-term rentals, and section 17.116.090, minor change to the Brookings Municipal Code. We will now proceed to the staff report.
Okay, so we have a two for tonight. We have two minor changes tonight for short-term rental conditional use permits, changing the name into the new property owner's name. Both properties were purchased by the applicant Cynthia Anderson and are located across the street from each other on Moore Street. They're both in R3 zones and both were issued CUPs prior to the zoning change of not permitting short-term rentals in an R3 zone. So they're basically grandfathered in. Short-term rental CUPs continue if the new owner submits a minor change application within 6 months of purchasing the property. And in both of these cases, she did. She has submitted them both in time. It was granted that, this particular 1214 Moore Street property was granted a conditional use permit May 4th, 2021. The original applicants complied with all of the regulations to operate it, and the property was sold to her on April 26, 2024, with a conditional use permit in effect and good standing. So we would recommend approval of the minor change.
Yeah. Is the applicant or representative here? Anyone in support? Any opposed? Any interested parties? No applicant rebuttal? Any staff additional comments?
No.
Okay. Does any participant request additional time to present evidence? No. In any land use decision, the burden of producing substantial evidence to demonstrate compliance with the applicable criteria is upon the applicant. If adequate evidence is not provided, the application must be denied. An applicant may be granted up to 7 additional days to submit written argument. Does the applicant request additional time to submit written argument? If not, are you willing to waive?
Go down to the.
Oh, should I just skip that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, thank you. The applicant is not present. They waive their right to request additional time to submit additional written argument and a decision will be made this evening. It is now 7:33 PM and public testimony is closed on Planning Commission file number MC-5-24 CUP-3-21. We will now proceed to Planning Commission discussion and make a decision on the matter. From this point forward, no member of the audience will be allowed to address the commission.
I don't have any questions. Does anybody have any questions on this thing? All right, I move that the Planning Commission approve file number MC-5-24 CUP-3-21, a request for a minor change of a conditional use permit, changing the permit from 1214 Moore Street into a new property's owner name, Cynthia Anderson, trustee of the Anderson Living Trust, based on the findings and conclusions staffed in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval.
Second.
Commissioner Peters.
Aye.
Commissioner Bond.
Aye.
Commissioner Wolkowitz.
Aye.
Chair Whatwood.
Aye.
Commissioner Chapman.
Aye.
Commissioner Bruce.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move that the Planning Commission approve final order regarding file MC 5-24 CUP-3-21 based on the findings and conclusions stated in the staff report and subject to conditions of approval.
Second.
Commissioner Bond.
Aye.
Chair Whatwood.
Aye.
Commissioner Peters.
Aye.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Bruce?
Aye.
Commissioner Wolfowitz?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Agenda item 4.3-MC-6-24 CUP-7-22. The time is now 7:35 PM, and the public hearing to consider the following application is open. In the matter of file number MC-6-24 CUP-7-22, a request for approval of a minor change of conditional use permit of 1244 Moore Street, changing permit into the new property owner's name. The owner and applicant is Cynthia Anderson, trustee of the Anderson Living Trust. The criteria used to decide this matter is found in section 17.124.170 short-term rentals and section 17.116.090 minor change of the Brookings Municipal Code. We will now proceed with the staff report.
So this is the second application for the same applicant. It's basically the same information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Copy.
So the applicant's not present. Nobody's here in support or opposition. There's no interested parties. No applicant rebuttal. Staff have any additional comments?
No.
Thank you. Yeah. So the applicant's not present. So the applicant is not present. They waive the right to request additional time to submit additional written argument, and a decision will be made this evening. It is now 7:36 PM and public testimony is closed on Planning Commission file number MC-6-24 CUP-7-22. We will now proceed to Planning Commission discussion and make a decision on the matter. From this point forward, no member of the audience will be allowed to address the commission.
I move that the Planning Commission approve file number MC-624 CUP-7-22, a request for a minor change of the conditional use permit, changing the permit for 1244 Moore Street into the new property owner's name, Cynthia Anderson, trustee of the Anderson Living Trust, based on the findings and conclusions stated in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval.
Second.
Commissioner Bruce?
Aye.
Commissioner Peters?
Aye.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Commissioner Wolfowitz?
Aye.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Chair Whatwood?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move the Planning Commission approve the final order regarding file MC-6-24 CUP-7-22 based on the findings and conclusions stated in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval.
Second.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Bruce?
Aye.
Chair Whatwood?
Aye.
Commissioner Wolfowitz?
Aye.
Commissioner Peters?
Aye.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Where are we at?
Minutes.
Yeah, did everybody get a copy of the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Was that on the folder?
Item 5.1. Is there any corrections or changes?
I didn't go all the way that back there. I was kind of scanning. Anything on there? Any change?
Any changes? Any motion to approve?
Yeah, I move that the Planning Commission approve the Planning Commission minutes of November 5th, 2024.
Second.
Chair Whatwood?
Aye.
Commissioner Bruce?
Aye.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Peters?
Aye.
Commissioner Wolfowitz?
Aye.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Minutes are approved. Item 6, any public comment on scheduled public appearances? Any additional report from the planning staff?
We won't be having a January meeting. We'll have a February.
February meeting.
Okay.
So we'll defer re-election of members till February.
By the way, was I on that list?
Item 8,
Expired.
so, well, I'll go to item 8, any commission final comments? Do we track like how many, do people like revoke or cancel their conditional use permits or let them expire?
Yeah, it's been, the number has been flexing up and down.
Yeah, it has. In fact, the applicant tonight with the 2 minor changes, she's not using them as short-term rentals right now. She's renting them out long-term.
Okay,
Because they're, of the location they're in, Moore Street, if she lets that go, that conditional use go, they can't come back.
Right.
So she chose to put them into a minor change and keep the short-term rental and pay the annual fee so that it might appeal to the next buyer. They want
Right.
to buy a residence with a C.
is there any way to know, well, I mean, I'll probably not, but to know if somebody's using them as a long-term rental or a,
Really, I mean,
We'd be getting tax on it if they were.
Yeah, I pretty much trust her, what she's saying. And we kind of know
Yeah.
because of
Not
the
that I-
water usage.
yeah, not that I distrust her, but it would be nice to know, because I know of a couple people that have them just because of that reason, they don't want to let it expire. But,
you know, the applicant, the new applicants have really dropped off significantly. And so
Right.
that's why I think it's really, I mean, every 3 months, it's probably balancing itself out. One comes in, a couple go out.
I sort of think we're reaching a saturation point here is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Because
agree.
if you look at the people who are renting out, it's not the beachfront, it's not the cliff properties anymore. It's, I think people thinking, well, maybe I can make a few extra dollars because it's right in the middle of a residential neighborhood.
Yeah, most time people come here, they want to be on the ocean, I think. and
Right.
They want
Yeah.
that experience,
Right.
so
yeah,
that's true.
What is the fee for short-term rental? What do they get charged annually?
You mean for the application or
Well, what would be the total cost?
when they apply for the permit?
Yeah,
$3,416.
wow.
So it takes a little bit to get some
$50
rent.
The annual fee's like a business license.
The annual fees
So
are
it's,
It's like a business license, like 60 or
$82.
82.
So every year.
but you get them up front with the first application as the fee then. So that takes a little bit to get their money back. So it's kind of a thing to where you got to make sure you're renting it at that point. So
This is, would you say, the first year of this new process. So what we would find is we would send them a notice that we're going to do an inspection, because we do annual inspections. We would know at that time what they're doing.
Yeah.
Long-term rental or short-term rental.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine they would probably call and say, hey, I don't want to.
yeah, if you're doing a long-term rental, you
And
just,
then we would know.
yeah.
So this is like, say, we got to wait for that whole calendar year to finish out.
So the new process, you're talking about inspections,
Right.
Yeah.
because you weren't inspecting them before.
No, we have an annual inspection.
Right.
And an annual registration fee for
Okay.
vacation rentals.
Right.
Or before, once you got it, it's like, boom, you're done. We don't ever see you.
Right. And so what does the inspection cover?
Fire, building, obviously checking for smoke detectors, just code issues that might come about, like railing.
Yeah, well,
Because one time I brought that up about that railing on that house. That,
right, that's when we changed over.
was that about the time that it changed? Okay.
Well, I think the code revision was approximately that time.
Okay.
Maybe just after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anything else?